Hello math students, this is a 2.6 walkthrough, so we'll just touch on a few questions in here and check out the full answers. So for the first one, you can see the question saying circle the greater measurement in each pair. You've got the 6 inches or the 10 centimeters, so we just want to think about how are we going to figure out the solution to this. So I'll just make this a little bit of a larger screen so we can work with it. I'll do entire page, and we'll move this in here too. I don't know if I can move that down actually first. Let's reshape that, and then we'll go back in. Alright, so you can see on the bottom these are your conversions from your formula sheet. We're going to use those to do 1A. You also have the approximate answers on the left here. Notice there's dots above, which means these are rounded numbers. So you can see here 1 yard is about 0.91 meters, and down here you can see there's a little more detail, 0.9144 meters. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your conversions. So for this one here, we have 6 inches or 10 centimeters. The idea is which one's bigger, then you pick the bigger measurement. Okay, so let's just get a starting point. Pick a converter. So if we go with this one right here, we'll say 1 inch is to 2.54 centimeters as, let's do the 6 inch one. 6 inches is to the unknown number. In this case, we're going to convert 6 inches to centimeters, and then we'll know which number is bigger. Okay, so we'll just go x is 6 times 2.54, all divided by 1. And this will give us, let's pull up the calculator here, 6 times 2.54, 15.24 roughly. We go 15.24, and that's in centimeters. Okay, so obviously at this point we can see that 6 inches is longer than 10 centimeters. So we'll just go and check the solutions. So you can see 6 has been highlighted. Do the same kind of work to figure out which one is larger for the other ones. Number 2, it says, what number would you multiply by to make each conversion? So this is going feet to meters. Again, we're thinking about what numbers do we have in our conversion sheets or on this page. From your formula sheet, you can see feet to meters is 0.0348. So if I open this one up, you can see a rounded number, 0.31, which is similar to this number. Just keep in mind that these will give you slightly different answers due to one of them being rounded if you have to use them in a question. Third, express each measurement in centimeters, round your answer to the nearest tenth. So again, we want to think about which converter would we like to use? Okay, so we're going inches to centimeters. So we've got inches here, centimeters there. So we're going to multiply by about 2.54. So if we take out the calculator again, let's clear out the stuff from before. 8 times 2.54, we get about 20.32. And we'll do the same thing for this answer here. Okay, so 2 feet, we're going to convert to inches, and then we're going to add it to 3.5. So we've got 2 feet times 12 inches per foot is 24 inches, plus the 3.5 inches. So this is inches. So we're going to take that, and we're going to times it by the 2.54 centimeters per inch. So we get about 69.85 as a measurement in centimeters there. Okay, rounded to the nearest tenth is 69.9. Okay, looking at the next one. 16 3/4 inches converted to centimeters, do the same thing, except this time make it 16.75 inches and times by 2.54. We'll just move this over so we can see the calculator as well. So we'll go 16.75. The 0.75 is coming from the fact that there's 3/4 of an inch. So 16.75 times 2.54 gives you 42.5. Round to the nearest tenth again. So you can see the 4 is not large enough to round the 5 up. Next is 4 yards to about. Keep in mind there's that dot there, so it's about whatever the converter is in this case. So we're going from yards to centimeters, and you can see that 1 yard is about 0.9144 meters. So we can do that and then just divide that by 100. Okay, so we have 4 yards, so 4 yards times 0.9144. So this number will be in meters, and we want to multiply this by 100 to go from meters to centimeters. So times by 100. When we get that number converted to the nearest, or rounded to the nearest tenth, we get 365.8. Okay, so the 6 does round the 7 up. Number 4, the tallest man ever measured is 8'11". What is his height in centimeters? Well, let's check it out. Clear that. So we have 8 feet plus 11 inches. So 8 feet times 12 inches per foot plus the 11 inches gives you 107 inches. Now we're going to take that and convert it to centimeters. So we're going to times it by 2.54. We get about 271.78. It doesn't really give too much for rounding, but if we needed to round it, we could round it to 272 centimeters. Okay, back to some conversions. Again, keep in mind that approximate, we're going from feet to meters again. So here's feet, there's meters. So it is as simple as multiplying through. So just keep in mind that this is a rounded number. So if you're going to use one that's got a little more detail, a couple extra decimal places, if we were to take that 12 and multiply that by the 0.3048, you get that number there. And rounded, it would have been slightly different. So just keep in mind which number you're using. Okay, the one from your formula sheet gives a little more detail. Same kind of thinking here. Okay, so we're going to convert, in this case, from feet to meters. So 6 yards and 2 feet converted to feet. So this is going from feet to meters. And let's move this over here. Same kind of idea, feet to meters. So this one is miles to meters. So the feet to meters is very similar to the last one. You're just taking the feet amount and multiplying by 0.3048, or here in the book, 0.31, which gave you about 7.83 meters. For D, going from miles to meters, so for this one, you can just think about it as you're doubling 1 mile to convert it to meters, or just have a look here. We've got the 1 mile to 1 kilometer, 1.609 kilometers. Multiply that through, get your kilometers, then multiply by 1,000, and then you get to 3,220 meters when you're converting from kilometers to meters, because it did ask for it in meters. A standard piece of paper with the dimensions of 8.5 by 11 inches. Again, just a pretty straightforward calculation. Multiply both of these numbers by 2.54. Okay, and you'll get your dimensions, 21.6 by 27.9 centimeters. Looking at a standard seam allowance for sewing garments, it's saying that is about 5/8 of an inch, and we're looking to convert this into millimeters. So if we were actually looking at your formula sheet, we don't see millimeters on there, but we do see centimeters. So we can convert to centimeters and then times by 10. Okay, so we're going from inches to centimeters. So let's find that one. So inches to centimeters is there. So 1 inch being 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so we'll multiply that and then work it through. So I've got times, excuse me, the conversion here is done into millimeters first, and that's fine. So we have our number in millimeters times the 5/8 of an inch, which gives you about 15.875 millimeters. Okay, so if we had, I know some of you will do it a little differently, so we've got inches to centimeters, so let's just go 5/8. Keep in mind that number is inches, so we're going to times that by 2.54 to get that into centimeters, and then we're going to convert centimeters to millimeters by timing by 10, and we get 15.875, same as this number. And then round it to 16 millimeters. Expressing measurement in kilometers. So same kind of idea, but let's get our formula sheet on here again so we can see that. Okay, so we're going from miles to kilometers. So we have miles here, kilometers there. So all we're going to do is take that and multiply by the converter. In this case, do note the difference. There is a slightly different number, again, due to number of decimal places. So if we were to actually multiply that through, 5 times the 1.609, you get a slightly different number, but rounded it would be the same, 8.05. And then here, 1,000 yards converted to kilometers. We're taking the converter here from yards to meters, and then working with that by dividing by 1,000 to get back to that kilometers. Remember, when you move to a larger unit, divide. When you move to a smaller unit, multiply. B and D, you can see here as well. Same kind of steps. Multiply by that converter. Moving to 9. Mount Logan in the Yukon is Canada's highest mountain. It measures 19,551 feet. What is the height in kilometers? So again, we're thinking about what are we going to use for a converter. Okay, so we have feet to kilometers. So we have a number here we could use, feet to meters, and then convert that to kilometers by dividing by 1,000. So let's just take our number and multiply it by 0.31, which is this if it's from the formula sheet, which will give you, let's do it that way too, so we can see that, 19,551 times 0.3048. Oops. 3048. There we go. Which is that number divided by 1,000 to convert back to kilometers. So you can see the numbers are very close. They're just a little bit off due to number of decimal places being used. In an assessment, you would obviously use the conversion given to you, so you get a consistent answer. Next one. Looking at a boat and trailer, trying to fit this into a garage. The idea is, will the boat and trailer fit into the garage? So the boat and trailer combined is 20 feet 6 inches. The garage is 6.2 meters. So we need to figure out, again, using which converter are we going to think about, and how are we going to go about doing that. So let's make the feet and inches into meters so that we can see if it fits within the garage. So we've got 20 feet So let's make that, if we can go from inches to centimeters, that might be useful. So we'll make our answer into centimeters, and then we'll change that, convert that into meters so we can compare them directly. Okay, so what you've got here is 20 feet. So 20 feet times 12 inches per foot plus 6 inches. So this number is in inches. And then we're going to go through and convert inches to centimeters, which is here. So we're going to take that number times it by 2.54. So there's a number in centimeters. And then we're going to divide that by 100 to convert from centimeters to meters. So we get a number that's 6.24 meters. So we can see that the boat and trailer, they're not going to fit in the garage. They're too big. Okay, so let's just keep in mind if you had did it the other way here, and we had 0.91 being used instead. You know, after you went from 246 inches, converted it to yards. If you like to do it that way, that's fine. Then you would have got a number with the converter of 0.91 meters. That's this one here, without the extra 2 decimal places, giving you a number that's fairly close to the way that we just did it. So again, keep in mind the difference is due to number of decimal places being used. So that number being 6.2 as well. So it's still bigger than, or 6.2153. So it's still bigger than 6.2. So either way you look at it, the boat and trailer will not fit into the garage.